This is an old blues number from Mississippi, and I think Al would have liked this one.
Put a seed in the soil and boom, things come up.
It was a great time in my life.
For Mueller Farm to be able to survive is quite a feat.
Not just the history, but the physical place that has been agriculturally productive for so many years and has never seen a chemical input during all those years. This is like an enormous treasure.
This is just good for my soul. I love getting to come here. It's just an honor to get to be a part of this really sacred space.
You have a farm?
I rent.
You rent
Land from Mrs. Mueller, who owns the Mueller Farm on Dade Avenue in Ferguson. And that farm has been there since the 1880s. Okay? Yeah. Well over 100 years it's been there.
That is a lot.
You know, Al never seemed to tire of explaining how he had been born right there in that house right over there. It's all overgrown, and he was born there, his father was born there, his grandfather had farmed that same place.
I was outside waiting on people doing stuff. When I came in the door, he says, "Caroline, don't do anything but come to the bedroom right now. Hurry up." I went, what the hell is wrong with him now? And I got in there and he says, "Listen to this." And he read some stuff out of the book. He said, "This is an organic book I got in the mail. An organic book. And we're organic. We do everything like that book says. We're organic. I'm going to paint organic on everything we got." he read organic books. He was a reader. Mm-hmm. After he'd get done working all day, he'd lay in bed and read for 2 hours.
And he said, well, when the sun goes down, he has to quit working, so he takes a nap. And he gets up in the middle of the night, and that's when he does all his book work. And he evidently kept these meticulous records of everything he planted and everything he harvested, pound for pound, and you know which varieties did best. Really a scientific approach to agriculture.
And from what I'm told, the Mueller Farm was the first organic farm in Missouri.
People tended not to have pictures taken. They tended not to write down their histories and so forth. I understand one exception is Mr. Mueller of Mueller's Farm, who has daily weather records written back for well over 100 years.
One of the memories I have here is Al being an organic farmer like he was. He'd experiment sometimes with shipments of, he'd bring in insects that would naturally take care of, you know, different ailments, I guess if you want to call it that, for the plants. And he'd bring in shipments of ladybugs and praying mantises, and it was really kind of, in some ways, comical because they'd probably stay in his fields for a while, but then a lot of times they'd leave and they'd come all into the yards back behind his farm, and we'd get up on a morning, a Saturday morning or whatever, and there'd be praying mantises crawling all over.
I came here in March of 2000. Bob Lubber and I came here and took a sample of the soil, and we liked what we saw. And here's what the soil looks like at the Mueller Farm. It's a real dark, rich soil that's about 12 inches deep of topsoil. Plenty of worms, as you can see. Here's a small worm in the photograph, which indicates there's a lot of organic matter in the soil. But the soil was not always this way. According to Mrs. Mueller, they put all kinds of manures on every fall for about 50 years.
As soon as you pulled off of Dade Avenue, it always seemed like you're in a different world. It just seemed like you were just walked into the country.
The neighborhood kind of reminded me of University City with these little 1930s vintage brick bungalow homes. And then, you know, here's this little gap in the subdivision and 14 acres of like the 1830s, you know.
I think he said, Mr. Mueller said, honk your horn. So I'd honk my horn and he would come in. They would have whatever they picked that day out on tables, the way I recall. And I'd pick what I wanted and maybe visit with him a while, talk to him a while.
Al had a couple of mules there. Well, he had an apparatus that was pulled behind the mule that actually cultivated the rows in between the tomatoes. I mean, he had no electric equipment that worked the farm.
I've never seen two harder working people in my life.